Match press conference to preview our game against Liverpool this weekend, and we'll start off with Alan from Sky.
Right, Sean, good afternoon. I know first games back after international matches can always be a little tricky. Does it help that it's a Merseyside Derby, given the intensity of these sort of matches, do you feel?
Well, we'll see. You want everyone to hit the ground running when they've been on the international breaks. Some have been active, of course, others have had not so active as in the game sense. But we've done some work with them players who haven't been playing. So, yeah, want it to come together, of course, and deliver a performance.
Is it possibly, you probably get asked this question a lot, is it a good time to face Liverpool after an international break? I know
I've been asked that many times. Yeah.
They've had a lot of players away who've travelled.
Yeah, well, their record's very strong. They're a very good outfit. We know that. Our record needs changing there. We know that. It's been a long time with not many wins, but it's a tough place to go. Like I said, so I don't think we'll be listening to the kind of the noise around it. We're trying not to anyway, but there is a lot of noise, rightly so. Big game, but it's more about our focus to get through that and concentrate on our performances, because I think generally they've been strong, but we are taking on a top side.
You've experienced one so far. That was at Anfield. How much are you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, I must say, from afar, the stories, but it's not the same as when you're in it. The focus stays the same, when the whistle blows, you're focusing on the teams, but the build-up, the feel around it, there's no two ways about a proper derby. I've played in a few and I've been around a few, but it's certainly the biggest one I know and I've been involved in. I've only had one experience, but I'll certainly be looking forward to the next one.
I know you quoted as saying it's a game for the people, the fans.
No, only quite that, because I think, when it's something that your life is around, I think it's different. So I don't try and jump into that. It doesn't mean I don't challenge myself to care deeply about it. Of course I do. About the result, the feel of the performance, the feel around the Evertonians. Of course I do. But I haven't got the depth, so I always reference that, because I've always thought it was a strange thing. Particularly, I'm still relatively new to Everton, as a manager, and I think you earn the right to have that same depth about these games. So I'm learning all the time. But yeah, that's why I mention it's about the people, because it means so much.
Great to head into it, though, isn't it? On the back of that victory over Bournemouth. Is there a bit more of a bounce around the place following the victory?
Yeah, I think we were in decent spirits anyway, but I think it reaffirms to the players and the staff, by the way, the work that staff put in, as diligent as they all are. It reaffirms that when you get it right and you take your chances and you find them real cutting edges in the performance, then I've always said I think we're a decent outfit. I've never lost sight of that or belief in it. Even last season there was a lot of noise around it, but I never lost sight of that. I still think with all the challenges, all the recruitment challenges, we've still got a very, very strong group of players, and it's about performing and delivering, but of course inevitably winning. So I was pleased that all came together to get not just a performance, but a very, very good win on top of a very good performance.
Does the approach change in these games, given the frenetic nature of the fast start that you probably need in the Merseyside Derby?
Well, it sometimes does, but it sort of shouldn't really. You want your players to go out there and have that feel. You want that edge that I've spoken about many, many times. You want that from any game. But, it always adds that extra little bit when it is a game like this. Or it always seems to. Not literally always, but it always seems to. And it feels like there's that energy from the off.
Can't have a chat with you without talking about Dominic.
Well, yeah.
But I know he didn't score against Bournemouth, but he had a very good game. And we know we can't have a total reliance on one player. But he does seem crucial to the way Everton play. Do you see it that way as well?
I don't know about crucial, but we know he's an effective player. We know he's getting back to full fitness and sharpness. I think that's very obvious by the way he's playing. His stats support that as well, his physical stats. And really, I think it's just keeping out on the pitch as many times as possible until he's totally free-flowing, because I think he's a very, very good player.
He's got 49 Premier League goals for the club, so it'll be a good time to get the 50.
I'm absolutely sure of that.
Garner Gueye, is he fit and available?
Yeah, he had a knock, unfortunately, that needed settling down. Virtually everyone, apart from the longer term, Dele and Andre. Seamus is on the grass for the first time with us, but he's had one day, so he needs time, obviously, after a long period out with us. So, yeah, a lot of the players have come back fit and well, which we're pleased about on the international side of things. And the other group have worked hard in the meantime.
Just finally for me, I know the Premier League hearing is ongoing into the investigations around the club financially. Not expecting an outcome imminently, but have you been given any reassurances? The club given you any reassurances along that?
No, it's more a case of the ongoing process, and we're part of the process. Obviously, I've stepped into the middle of it, so it's certainly not something that involves me as manager, but it sort of distantly does from the fact that I'm manager. So, I'll wait and see what the outcome, what it is, and when the timelines are. At the minute, I don't know any more than that. I'm sure there's people talking about lots of different things. I'm just looking at what we can control. I certainly can't control any of that side of the club.
Sean, we mentioned just your second Merseyside Derby. Was there anything that you learned about the first experience that will affect your preparations for this one?
Well, I think we've got some different players all play. I think with all due respect, we had a go with Simsy up front, compared with Dom, all due respect, as I said, a very good young player, but Dom's a different category, I feel, as a player with his experience, and especially now that he's getting fit. So we think that gives us a slightly stronger feel about the team, that is. And the feel-wise, then, it was what I expected. The noise, it's hard to explain the details of it, but my main thing is staying focused, because I don't want to get carried away involved in it, because I don't want the players to. I want them to get involved with the performance. It sounds easy. Every manager says that kind of thing, but it's not that easy when it's all the noise and the build-up and all that sort of stuff. But the players are in a good place at the moment, so we want that to continue.
You talk about the noise around a spectacle like this. Is there a way, though, that you can channel that and use it to your advantage?
Well, that's what every manager wants. It's adding the feel, adding the noise, adding the build-up into the tactical plan, the tactical understanding, the nature of performance. That's the blend you want, because it can bring energy, of course. These games bring an energy as well, and you've got to use that energy wisely as a team.
And finally, for me, Jurgen Klopp has a wealth of attacking options. When there are so many possibilities, does that affect preparation, or for you is it simply the one philosophy that will affect how you go?
I think sometimes it does. Tactically you shift and you change and you organise the team differently, but sometimes it's very subtle. If you look at Liverpool's record, they tend to stick with a basic format, and there are twists and there are tweaks, and most teams do that, I think, when they've got a format they like. And me likewise, when I've got a format that I think works, it's twisting, tweaking, knowledge of the opposition, but also knowledge of what you can do to affect the game in a very positive manner. So it's finding that, getting it to work. That's the secret. So, again, all these things sound really easy when we're talking about them. Not so easy when the whistle blows and there's them human beings running around to deliver.
Thanks very much. We've got to Shamin at the BBC.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
You said the hearing's an ongoing process. Is that the same message you've been given about the takeover?
There's no messages. It's just an actual fact. It's an ongoing process. So that's it. Regarding the hearing, the takeover, very similar. I mean, I've met them, which I said to you, it was a very casual meeting. All these things take a lot of time. I know that. That I don't know the exact timescales on that either, but they do take a lot of time in my limited knowledge, but my knowledge from afar at seeing these takeovers.
Obviously, there is lots being written about it. Is there any sort of distraction to you guys around it? Around the hearing?
I'm not looking at that. I've certainly haven't heard any voices around the change room speaking about it and around the staff. Everyone's just focused on what we do.
In terms of Saturday, do you need to change the setup somehow on the pitch?
Well, like I was just explaining, I think twists and tweaks, more than radical change. We have changed this season, went 5-4-1 at Villa and delivered a very good performance, got a good outcome. We have the variances that we can, I think. That was part of the fact that I spoke bigger picture-wise of getting a more balanced squad, so you can tactically flex and change more. But I must say the last performance was a good one. So the performances around that have been strong as well. So, I think it'll be more tweaks rather than radical change, but we'll see.
And that squad depth will be important, won't it? Because you have more options to change it if required, if the games are going right, if it is going right.
Yeah, absolutely. You want as many players fit and well as possible, and also as many game fit players as well. So that's the next challenge. A few have got some minutes in internationally as well, which is helpful. Getting everyone to that real game fitness is important.
And those details that you speak about in each box, is that what's going to win or lose a game.
It invariably does in every game. Most games, I would say. But the concentration and focus in every game, but particularly in these games, I think when there is that extra added atmosphere and that build-up, I think the concentration and focus for all the players is very important.
And what's the message to the players before the game?
Just keep delivering performances. It's, to the adjustment I've been searching for since I've been at the club is a higher level of consistency. Both on a weekly basis or bi-weekly, however many games you're playing, and also during a game. So to keep the consistent level of performance, keep the good habits of what we're trying to achieve and what we do on a weekly basis. And whatever game you're playing in, we want that to be an automatic thing when we push the level to a higher level of consistent performance.
Thanks, Shamoon. We'll go to Julia at Radio Merseyside.
Hi, Sean. You said the players are in a good place at the moment. Is that simply off the back of the Bournemouth performance and the win, or is it just feeling like it's coming together a bit more?
I think 3 out of 4 wins, I think, gives that extra bit of feeling. I think it was there. I just think it gives them an enhanced feeling within the group. The one that got away in between as well, I think we made sense out. I think the players did. So I think really it's partly the literal thing, 3 out of 4 wins, and then partly the idea of the players are beginning to find each other's ways of playing, and that adaptation that they need does take a bit of time sometimes, and I think it's continuing to grow. So, a bit of both, I think.
You mentioned about having the edge in the Merseyside Derby. It's easy to have the edge, and then sometimes tensions boil over a little bit in these games. How do you make sure the players have the edge, but not too much edge?
Well, the game's changed. I don't think it's not as physical now as it was, as in, I presume you're implying the nature of tackling and challenges. I think it's more control, but you want that in every performance. It's certainly very difficult in football to win games if you haven't got the right amount of players, that's for sure. So part of that in any game is to keep 11 on the pitch. But that's part and parcel of the derby, is that bit of control and focus, which I just spoke about. I think that's important.
The opposition managers had a lot to say about the 12:30 kickoffs. What is your take on them, particularly after an international break?
Yeah, I've always been a bit more open-minded. The Premier League programme gets laid down. It's a challenge. There's no two ways about it. The more clubs that are involved in all the competitions, it becomes an increased challenge for them, of course. So I do understand to the manager when they mention that. I've had certainly one season at Burnley through the Europa thing and all that, so it does get very challenging. But the programme is there. We know it early doors. It does change because of TV, but we know it pretty early. And I think you just adapt and change. And I certainly speak to the players about that, adapting and changing their routine, trying to get that right for maximum performance.
And James Garner's becoming more and more popular with the Everton fans right now. How much of a role can he play in the Merseyside Derby? And just your general thoughts on his progress so far this season?
Yeah, really happy for Jimmy and his progress. As you put it, when I got in, he'd been injured. I knew of him from the season before at Forest. I went down to Forest quite a bit that season while I was having a rest. And he was performing there. And when I got in, he was injured, as I said. To get back to true fitness, deliver, his adaptability for a young player is very, very pleasing. But I've always seen him mainly in a central role. I still do. But I do like the flexibility of him. He's a player that can use that wisely, and he does. And he's been very open to use it for us, and he's worked very hard in other positions. And he's growing into what he is, and that's a very good footballer, in my opinion.
Go to Carl at the Press Association.
Hi, Sean. I presume by now you've got a very good method of shutting out the outside noise that's been going on at the club.
Yeah, I just don't read it or listen to it. Yeah. That's the easiest thing.
Absolutely. But do you have a mechanism so you can work out what you don't need to hear and what you do need to hear? No,
it's very difficult because the amount of attention every game gets now, Premier League games or Premier League teams get. This only enhances, with derbies. It's very difficult to. You can't stop all the messages outside of what we give them, of course. The media, social media. So the players have to learn to adapt to it. Goods, bads, and indifference. The players have to learn that's part of their careers. It's part of who they are. Managers as well, by the way, of course. Staff as well. Everyone connected with it. So I don't think there's a perfect way of dealing with it. You just manage it the best you can.
In terms of the off-field stuff, which obviously creates the most noise, or has created the most noise, obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes, there's a lot of reports, a lot of stuff swirling around, which some's true, maybe not true, and you you put that to one side, but what I'm trying to say is, are there things that you think, I need to know more about that, I need to go and ask somebody about that, or...
I can't really think of an example. Most of it's out there. Most of the players, if they had a problem with it, would come and see me
But you
or
personally,
question me. No, I don't know. I know what I need to know, and that's enough for me. I don't need to, add in another level of someone's opinion, an opinion on this, an opinion on that, an opinion. I know what I know from inside. So, it's often irrelevant what someone else is saying from the outside because I actually know what's going on.
Okay. Any further questions in the open section?
Could I just ask you one, not really connected with the game at all, but we just spoke to Jack Dowling, the first team physical performance coach, who's going to run 26 marathons in 26.
He is, mad as that is, but for an incredible cause, yeah.
Yeah, for an incredible cause. He says you're not giving him any time off. Just business as normal.
You got to work hard, and you work hard. What is it? Go hard or go home. You know what I mean? They're the rules. No, he's been pretty quiet about it actually, for considering what an amazing challenge it is. But we are going to be speaking to the players and try to see if we can put our hand in our pockets and make sure that he's looked after.
And his brothers are red.
Okay. We'll let him deal with that. No, it's amazing what he's doing. It's amazing what he's doing. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for mentioning it. Thank you.
To George.
Hi, Sean. Just want to say I spoke to Tony Bellew last night, and he gave it your stamp of approval.
Tony
Bellew.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the second bit.
Just
Yeah,
giving your
great
stamp
fella.
of approval. Just want to say about when you went with Burnley to Anfield and you broke the really long home unbeaten record. You had a little bit of a to and fro with Jurgen Klopp in the tunnel and some words on the touchline. Are you expecting a heated affair again this weekend?
No, I don't. I think I spoke clearly then that every manager should be passionate about what they do. You have to control it, ever more so. There's more demand on managers to control it, I think. But I think it's nothing other for me. That was that sort of stuff was commonplace when I was playing, when I was early in my managing career. It just gets blown up now. It was a commonplace thing. Straight after the game, full of respect, go fantastic, well done. That's the reality as I see it. There's not a manager I can think that I've properly fell out with, as in hold a grudge. Never. And I've played against many. And I met them afterwards and chat with them, and you crack on. So I've never had a problem with Jurgen Klopp or any other manager. We just both want the best for our teams, whatever team that is. It was a different team for me then, and every manager should do. There's nothing wrong with showing a bit of passion and a bit of commitment to the cause. And it didn't go too far, and it probably never will do me.
Okay. Any further questions in the open section before we move on? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.